Hello everyone, this is Erik again with an easy recipe for you. Today I'm going to focus on an item that you can get from our lending library at the library. This is the Sunbeam Bread maker that we have. It has a lot of different settings. You can get this out with your library card. And today I'm going to show you how to make an easy pound cake with this machine because it has a cake setting. And also how to make a dessert bread that you can eat every night that doesn't rise, doesn't require yeast. So let me get started. To make the pound cake, because we'll start with the pound cake, you need 3 eggs, milk, which I have in my handy thermos today, flour, baking powder, butter, sugar, I have my little transport here, and vanilla extract. So with the bread maker, you just have to make the dough, or the batter I should say, and once that's made, you put everything into the bread maker in this pan. It actually does the mixing and the prep all by itself for you, and then it actually bakes it right in here. It takes about 2.5 hours. So what we'll do is I'll make the batter and then we'll get started. So here's the bread maker. The first thing I'm going to do is take out the pan and I'm going to grease this with canola oil. That's a prep step. The first thing it says is to melt 1/2 cup of butter. So this stick is 1/2 cup of butter. So I'm going to melt this in the microwave. I'll be right back. So here is the melted butter. I'm going to add it to the bowl. Spatula out. Next up is the eggs. I'm going to whip them. I'm going to add in the eggs. Mixed and beaten. We're just gonna put it together for a second. Now we're gonna add the vanilla extract. 1 tablespoon. 1 teaspoon. Actually, I have to get that right. It's a teaspoon, see? Let's stir it up. Now, some bread makers make you put the ingredients for cake in separate stages, but this one does not. You can put everything in right away. Just kind of nice and easy. We will now add the rest of the ingredients. So this is kind of the order you should actually add them in. We're going to add the flour, which is 2 cups of flour. Get it all in there. Okay. 1 cup of sugar. Nice and easy. 1/3 cup of milk. And then 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So I have, here's 2. I'm gonna take 1 more. And 1 more. There we go. That's important because this is not going to rise, but it will, during the baking, rise a little bit. And that's it. Now we're going to mix it all up. Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but I like to mix everything by hand. You're going to keep going until you get all the bits out of there, especially those annoying baking powder bits that make little white nuggets. If you don't get them out. You can eat them, it's just not pleasant. Okay, this one's just about done. Take a look, nice and smooth. Over here I have the cake pan from the bread maker. I prepared it with canola oil. So I'm going to pour the batter in there. Okay. It goes right in there. Just going to make sure that the bowl is nice and cleared out. We're going to put the cake pan in and lock it in clockwise. To take it out goes counterclockwise. I'm going to close it up. So like I said, this machine does everything. So to turn this, we already turned it on, I already plugged it in. Now we're going to hit menu until it goes to number 10 here, which is the cake setting. 10. Now cake takes 2.5 hours to complete. That might be, you might think, wow, too long. It takes longer because this is a low temperature cooker. I'll show you what it's doing. If you look in the top, you can see that it is mixing up your batter. So it's going to go through a couple of cycles of mixing, and then finally it's going to start baking it. So after we take a look at this for a second, we'll come back when it's done. In 2.5 hours. Okay, the bread maker is done. So let me just take it out and we'll take a look at it. I'm gonna give this open. We'll take a look. There it is. So now it should be really hot, so be careful. I'm using, usually I would use a, I'm gonna give it a turn. Pull it out. There it is. Now I'm gonna say to let it cool completely before you actually take it out of there. Okay, so I'm gonna take it out. So this bread maker, the spatula in this bread maker comes out with the actual loaf that you make. So if you can see, here's the cake, and now it's cooled down. Always let it cool down so that it gets smaller than the actual container that it's in. And this should just come right out. Huh? This one's cool enough, so I'm just gonna put it right on the plate. There we go. Almost, not quite instant pound cake. We'll cut it open and take a look at it. So here we go. Slice it open. It looks nice and moist. It's a perfect pound cake. So we'll put that aside for now. Okay, so now that we finished our cake, we're going to try our bread. So this is a dessert bread, using very much of the same ingredients like the cake. So the first thing you will need for this is salt, baking powder once again because it's not using yeast, sugar, 1.5 cups of milk, a tablespoon of butter, two eggs, get my eggs out, 1.5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay. Because for this recipe, the bread maker can make the whole thing inside itself because it does the mixing and everything, you have to put the ingredients in a certain way. So for this recipe, we have to put 2 eggs in, and I'll just do it as we put 2 eggs in. 1. Make sure sure there's no piece of the shell in there. Get all the shell out. I'm shelling today, I don't know why. Anything that has to do with oil, so butter. Okay. The flour. So we need 3 cups of flour. So this goes in the bread maker. 1, 2. That was 3 altogether, by the way. The baking powder, which is 2 tablespoons. 1 cup of sugar. 1 to 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, depending on your preferences. I'm putting about 1.5. A neutral number. Then comes the vinegar. Now the vinegar is 1.5 tablespoons. You get it? So the large measure here is 2 tablespoons, so I'm going to fill it up 3/4 of the way. There we go. Chemical reaction going on here, folks. And then a little tiny bit of salt. It calls for a 1/2 teaspoon, but that's a lot. That's enough. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to suggest is that before we get started, we actually scrape the sides. Just a little bit. What the vinegar actually does is it makes a little bit of air in there, believe it or not, even though you don't have yeast. So once this starts, it will begin to rise a little bit by itself. Okay? Next step is the bread maker. Don't forget the 1.5 cup milk. I almost forgot. We're going to open the bread maker. Nothing. And we're going to put the bread pan back in. There we go. Okay, it's in there. Okay, going there. Unmixed. Open it up. Okay, so now we're going to set this on quick, which is number 4. So pressing menu, so it hits 4, and we're gonna make this about we're gonna make it medium. Let's just do medium. I'm gonna press start. Can you hear it? So the bread maker is going to mix everything for us and then bake it all up for us. I would suggest that you open the top and scrape the sides once in a while before it starts to actually bake. Okay, the timer just went off on our bread. It's baked for 1.5 hours. So I will open up the thing. Remember, it's really hot at this point. So we're going to take it out. Take it out, turn it over, and take it out of the machine. And you have to remember, nice, you have to remember that you have to turn over the loaf you make, and in the middle there's a hole. You have to cut a small hole in there and take out the mixing blade, because this one works by having the mixing blade on the inside. Slice here. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this, but this bread is more like a bread that you would eat with a meal instead of like a sandwich. If you can see it, I'll hold it closer. But that was on the quick setting. So there's a whole bunch of different settings you can mess around with on this machine. It's actually quite a good machine. There's a few that don't actually do the mixing. This one does. So think about it. like I said, you can take it out from our lending library with your card. So as you can see, it works pretty well. Remember, you can take this machine out with your library card and make these breads, plus also ones that use the yeast. There's all different settings for that. Read the manual. This cake and the bread that we made won't last as long as other bread, so make sure that you eat them pretty soon after you make them, or you refrigerate them immediately. Anyway, here's our bread, and have a slice. Until next time, bye-bye.